As parents, we often expect ourselves to be completely calm and even perfect no matter what comes our way. Yet in real life, it's all too easy to get stressed and reactive when life gets challenging. Internal and external demands can become overwhelming and knock us off our center. And this can create big feelings such as disappointment, anger, and self-doubt. So, what are the secrets to creating the inner peace that lets us, more often than not, respond to parenting and other life demands with wisdom, grace, and calm? Today, I'm joined by a top parenting expert and co-founder of Mama Zen, who will help us explore this deeply important topic. So no matter your age, stay tuned for a fabulous dive into the tips that can help you create your best calm self. Today, we'll focus on this listener's real-life question. I'm a mom of 2 with 1 on the way, and I struggle every day trying to stay on top of everything. Lately, I've been losing my cool with both my kids and partner. I think I'm afraid of how I'm going to handle the extra load. I really want this child, but I think my plate is going to be too full to do a good job. My parents managed 5 kids with no problem. I wonder if I'm just not cut out to have a big family. Can you give me some tips and coping skills? And with that issue as the focus of today's podcast, I'm Dr. Carla Marie Manley, and this is Imperfect Love. Please note, as this episode contains sensitive information, listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Imperfect Love with Dr. Carla Marie Manley, psychologist, author, and relationship expert. I'm here to help unravel mysteries and misconceptions about love, relationships, and mental health issues, plus everything in between. Love is complicated, people are imperfect, and relationships surely can be tough. Together, we'll navigate this messy, imperfect space of real life.
Today, I am so delighted to bring to the podcast Erin Rubin. Erin is a parenting expert and the creator of Mama Zen. Welcome to the podcast, Erin. It's so lovely to have you with us today.
Thank you so much, and I'm very excited to talk about motherhood and how imperfect it is.
That is a really great start. Motherhood, any kind of parenting, is certainly imperfect, and we expect ourselves, and sometimes other people seem to expect us to handle it perfectly, and that actually adds a layer of stress of its own.
I definitely agree with that, and I really think that if we take ourselves out of that magnifying glass and wake up in the morning and just tell ourselves, you know what? It doesn't really matter who is on social media today. It doesn't matter who expects me to be what. I'm just going to be who I am. And I think that takes off a lot of that pressure.
Thank you for starting us with that really simple idea of letting go of that external pressure that we might see things on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, wherever it is, where we see these perfect lives other people seem to have created, and we hold ourselves up to them and compare ourselves to whoever they might be. And yet that's an illusion. In most cases, it's a big illusion. So before we launch into this really important topic, and as I was reading the listener's question and matching it with you as today's expert, really brought up a lot for me as a parent where, often we're really, really trying hard to do our best, so hard. And it's a journey. And some days we do really, really great, and other days maybe not so well. But anyway, you're a great expert and perfect for this very important universal question. So before we launch into that, could you tell our listeners just a little bit about what makes you, you?
So I think what makes me me is I wake up in the morning with the intention of just doing my best and without really the pressure of being perfect, and knowing that whatever happens, I'm okay with, because things are not going to go my way. So I'm very much honest to my values of just enjoy the day and have zero expectations. Good things will happen. some things that I didn't expect will happen and just kind of flow. So I'm very much like a flowing person. And that's part of the reason why I started Mama Zen, because when I became a mom, I actually lost that. I wasn't in touch with how easygoing I was, and I became like a stress case. And I found my way back, so I'm very happy about that. So that's what makes me me.
Well, thank you. And I'm really fascinated by what you just said because it seems like you experienced a flip of a switch
Hmm.
where you were a fairly calm person. Then you had, well, you told me you have two children, and that now was it the first child where that you felt that flip of a switch?
So it started with my first delivery, which was very traumatic. There was a lot
Mm.
of intervention from doctors, and at that time, it kind of ruined the whole experience. But I also felt like I got hit by a truck, so it was very hard to recover from that. I felt like I had PTSD. Uh, Even my pain levels changed after that experience. And there I was, pregnant again and really fighting those fears, right? I didn't want to experience that again. And then I had an easier delivery, but my second baby was colic for like 8 hours a day. So there was a new type of PTSD happening. And I would say each experience was different and beautiful in its own way, but also very challenging. And from before I was a mom, I've done a lot of stuff in my life. I was actually a six-time judo national champion, and I was in the military, so I thought I was tough. And here I come, I become a mom, and all of a sudden, all that toughness is out the window. So, from being a very calm, confident person, I became a very anxious, stressed out person. And then I found the solution and went back to being calm and confident. So, I guess the switch flipped a few times.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I'm a little bit flabbergasted. So, six-time judo champion in the military.
Yeah.
You go through all of that, it sounds like with flying colors, and
Yeah.
then two kiddos. Who would have
Yes.
thought that two kiddos could bring someone to their knees in a sense? And I understand it sounds, and in my work with clients, definitely that can happen where, I mean, your situation, of course, is unique with being a judo champion and in the military, yet finding when it
Yeah.
comes to kiddos, there is so much, no matter how much we pray and hope for this beautiful family life and beautiful pregnancy and beautiful deliveries. Sometimes that entire process, for whatever reason, whether there's, you know, some sort of depression in the mix, whether it's before the baby's born, after the baby's born, during that whole time, whether there's a really difficult delivery, as in your case, you lose self trust, you lose faith in the process, sometimes faith in the medical system, all of these things. When we don't feel safe, it can really set us up for trouble in the short term and long term because if we don't have safety, life in general feels so much more challenging.
Yes, I think it's a combination of a lot of things. It's the physical aspect of delivering a baby, it's the breastfeeding, it's not coming easily to a lot of us. It's having a new baby to take care of. It's a person, and there's a lot of things you have to be watching for. So it's a very critical time, and you're exhausted. You're really, really, really exhausted. It's exhaustion that you never felt before because you're around the clock 24/7 for weeks. And all that combined with hormonal changes, it really, really challenges you. And if you don't know exactly what's happening and what to do, you feel very lonely, you feel very confused, you feel very out of balance. And all that is very, very overwhelming to your system. And to wake up every day like that and take care of another person is just very, very hard. And society expects us to just deal with it. And I think that was the hardest thing for me, that I'm like, what do you mean? I need some tools here. I need something, right? And I remember I was going through, every time I was going through the packet I got from the hospital, and all it had was information about my baby and how they should, the growth, and when to go see the pediatrician and things like that. I'm like, what about me? I'm like, I'm losing it over here, and there's nothing in this packet that can help me. And I was quite shocked. And that's exactly what led me to create Mama Zen, because how I felt, I didn't want any other mom to feel this way. So out of control and so confused and so alone. And yeah, it's a big challenging period. So before becoming a mom, you have no idea, right? In the movies, it looks so cute. Every moment looks so precious. But then you come home with a brand new baby, and it's, wow, it's very far from that.
Absolutely. I know each of my kids, the delivery, well, especially the first one, the delivery was a little more difficult, but coming home to a full-time job when I was already working, and then another full-time job, and the full-time job doesn't want to sleep. It wants to scream and you can't console it. And all of the sudden, all of those parts of the self, even if you felt really in control before, being a mom can bring up so much of that internal sense of, I can't control my life. I
So it's,
can't.
I think the best part about that feeling is it makes you kind of, okay, you know what? I'm letting it go. And when you let it go and you stop trying to control it, it's almost like you free yourself from it. It's almost like the more we try to control everything, and the schedule and the crying and the household and the mess and everything, the more we make ourselves feel crazy. So I feel like as soon as you kind of let go and you're like, you know what, whatever this day brings, it brings, and I'm just going to deal with it one moment at a time, you really free yourself from that.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Having expectations that are much gentler, that really set the stage for enjoyment rather than I must, I must, I must, I should, I should, I should, because that creates a lot of internal chaos. So, what do you think when we look at this listener's question where they're saying, could you give me some coping skills? And it also sounds like this person's comparing themselves to, the family they grew up in. And it sounds like it was at least good enough parenting, if not great parenting. And this person in today's very chaotic world, and I don't know if they work full time, I don't know if their parents worked full time or what the situation was. But when we start comparing ourselves, again, whether it's to social media or to how our parents did it, it can really comparison. There's no upside to it in most cases. You're shaking your head, so say more, please.
I think the comparison game is really, it's a very negative aspect of motherhood. I think that comparing yourselves with your parents or friends, you don't know what kind of kids you will have. You don't know how this baby is going to be. So you're already losing the competition, right? Because what you don't know. I think that also our parents dealt with a different reality. Today, modern motherhood is very much figure it out. You're on your own. So figure out what you need, where you need to go, how you get help. We don't no longer have the village. We don't drop our kids off at the neighbors and just go and do our thing. So that's very different. And I think that it's a mindset. You have to have a positive mindset. If you think that it's going to be too hard, too challenging, you're not going to be able to do it, you're going to really experience a challenging period. There's just no way around it, right? Because you're almost like setting yourself to it. You have to really change your mindset, and you have to go in with positive self-talk. Even if you don't feel like it right now, if you don't feel like it, fake it. Start saying positive things to yourself. I'm going to do it. I'm stronger than I think. I'm going to get the help that I need. I'm going to communicate. I'm going to really, really focus on everything that you wish for yourself and start saying it out loud. And by the time the baby's here, your mindset is going to be in a different place, and things are going to really be more positive, and you're going to be surprisingly happy with the results, because it's really, really, the mind is really powerful. So I really recommend to this listener, change the way you speak to yourself and you're speaking out of fear, right? And it's not where you should be coming from. You should be coming from a place of happiness, a place of peace, a place of confidence. I can do this, and you will be able to.
I absolutely agree in the importance of having a positive mindset. And one of the pieces that you said, but I do have to bracket that and say I've worked with people who are so deep in depression and self-doubt that even saying out loud, I can do this, it's hard for them to verbalize a phrase like that. And something you said was, I felt was really empowering, because the part about reaching out for support. When we look at today's world, which is often fragmented, we do not grow up in many cases with a community or family around us. I know for me, my life was really saved because I had a few angels in my life when my kids were tiny who really helped me manage things. And those angels, whatever form they come in, a grandparent, a sister, a brother, a neighbor, accessing resources where you can then pause, take that deep breath in, have 15 minutes to read or nap, whatever you need. And so finding those resources is a really important step in the process, and not being afraid to reach out, whether it's to your doctor's office, the hospital, the community center, a local counseling center or parenting center. There are resources available, and often, especially for people who can't afford a private therapist or daycare, twice a week, whatever it might be, there are free resources out there that want to support you in parenting. But sometimes that internal message that says, I should be able to do it all, I should be able to do this on my own, that kind of message, those shoulds, can really set the stage for feeling even worse about yourself. What do you think?
I always give moms this advice. You have a birth plan, have a postpartum plan. Write down all your wishes. Write down all your expectations. Share it with your partner. Share it with your parents. Share it with your best friends. Have a plan for the postpartum period when you really don't have the time and the brain power to do it. Know in advance, so those people know, oh, okay, once you give birth, you expect me to come at least once a week with a warm meal, watch the baby for a couple hours. No problem, I can do it. It's when you're drowning in the trenches of the postpartum period and then you're trying to find people, nobody's available because nobody knew that was your expectation. So I really think we should focus actually more on the postpartum plan, because that's like a 3 to 6 months period, and the birth plan is just one day. So really write down everything that you hope and wish for your postpartum period, and then communicate it to those people.
Absolutely. And I love that idea. We have, we're so busy and we're so excited when baby's coming. We're getting the nursery ready or the bedroom ready, and we're getting maternity clothes and all of those things that come with that excitement. And even if we're suffering from some depression or nausea or all the things that come with that period, even turning to a partner or a best friend and saying, now, can you help me also get ready for the delivery, the days after the delivery, and then the month by month in those first, as you say, ideally that first 6 months, if at all possible. And sometimes there are people in a neighborhood that and even if your family's not close by, or family can come and fly in and stay for a couple of days, ask, and get it set up. And don't be afraid to ask your partner, even if your partner's working full time, whatever's happening. This is a time when, as you say, there's so much going on. Baby's needs, meeting this new little being who may be a really calm one, maybe a really colicky one, maybe somewhere in between, and having a support staff so that you can be your gentle self, your non-reactive self, because it's hard to not react when you're stressed and worn really thin.
I agree with that. And I think it's important, even with your partner, to share with them, hey, you will do at least one feeding a night, or I expect you to take the other 2 kids to the playground at least 3 times a week between 3 and 6. So I have some time to breathe. I expect you to pick them up from daycare, school. I expect you to have meals ready, like on Monday and Friday. Have those little conversations, but those are going to save your sanity because you can't do it all.
Absolutely. You're making me think of it was my fourth book, The Joy of Imperfect Love, where I talk about the importance of agreements. If we don't create agreements, loving, kind agreements with the people in our lives, then we have default agreements. We get implicit agreements rather than the explicit agreements where both people have the opportunity to come to the table and say, okay, here's my plan, here are my thoughts, oh, well, here are mine. Let's talk about a way, let's collaborate, let's compromise, and then create an agreement that feels good. Won't always be perfect, but it's not about being perfect. It's about creating a flow that can let both parents be their best selves or as close to their best selves as possible, which then generally creates happier kids and a happier household.
I think we should actually change the trend of the baby shower as well. I think the mom should come with a personal note to each person and write in the note, I would love for you to help me to do this or to come over, or maybe once a month you can come over and bring a meal or something. And instead of just focusing on buying things for the baby, let's like focus on the mom because she needs the help. The baby will be fine. The mom will take care of the baby. The baby is good. They usually don't need the diaper cakes and the clothes, and they got that. They know what they want to buy. If they want to buy the organic cotton or the special diapers, the mom needs the help from those people that come to the baby shower after the baby is born. And I think giving each one an assignment, the closer people to you should get actually, more assignments, and you should share more time with them. And the people who are not so close to you and still come to the baby shower should still help you like once a month. I think we're doing it wrong.
Erin, that is the best idea I've heard in a long time, and I mean that wholeheartedly. I'm
Yes.
thinking of, unless you live across the country or, in another
Yeah.
state, you can send meals to someone. You can pick
Yeah.
dates. You can give them gift cards for meals. And what a valuable, yes, a little baby blanket or whatever is really cute. But when I think about when I go to a baby shower, I tend to spend more time because I like shopping local. I tend to spend more time shopping for that perfect gift than really I could use that time to create a home cooked meal or to do some research on finding that person a daycare, something where you can actually contribute to their quality of life after baby comes.
Yes.
And that's a fabulous idea to create, a baby shower that is about welcoming the baby. And when we welcome the baby into a household where mama feels good and supported, what better baby gift could there be? Wow, that's a great idea.
Yes, and all those meal trains and things like that, we should definitely do it for the mom, and we should plan on coming and helping, because for us it's an hour or two. For her, if you have 10, 20 people come to help for an hour or two, it's like she got her life back.
Absolutely. And then that ability, because if mom feels good, the
Yes.
partner's going to feel better.
Yes.
If mom is feeling underappreciated, overworked, exhausted, it can create, I've seen it over and over again, it can create short term and long term resentment and havoc in that relationship. So, this is really a win win. Now, I have a question for you. I love that you have, Mama Zen parenting tips, and your daughters are how old?
There are 9 and 11.
9 and 11. So, question for you. What do you think about the strain of being a mom to a newborn versus the toddler years and now the teen years? Do you find that the stressors get any less? In my life, I found that the stressors were different, but that I got more adept at healing with them by creating better coping mechanisms, I hope. So what do you think of that? Did you find one stage easier than another?
Okay, so I want to go back to what you just said before the question, basically the coping mechanisms.
Mhm.
So Mama Zen is not actually tips. it's actually we created mind power sessions which combine hypnotherapy, CBT, and mindfulness. And those are sessions are what giving you the coping skills. So we help moms to move from being reactive to having a lot of self-regulation. And it's very important what you said. The issues, the challenges, they will come. They have different faces, they have different hats, right? The newborn period is challenging with the endless feedings, the trouble sleeping, the hormonal changing. The toddler period is really hard with the tantrums and the challenging the parents, and they're not listening and always constantly being in trouble. I call it the lifeguard period because I felt like I was a lifeguard, constantly saving my
Absolutely.
kid from herself. And then you have the grade schoolers, and then you have society starting to affect them and affect their confidence, and they want to do things because people do it, or because people told them that if they don't do it, they're gonna fall behind. So the challenges change, but if you have your inner calm, you're gonna be able to deal with whatever comes. And that's exactly what I created with Mama Zen. It doesn't really matter the period. I'm giving you the skills to always find a way back to being a calm parent. And I think that's exactly the best tip we can give any parent out there. It's not about the scripts. It's not about, oh, if your toddler does this, then do that. No, it's about your state. If you're regulated, if you are calm, if you're dealing with challenges without the panic and the reactiveness, your children will see you. And they're going to have the confidence. They're going to have the confidence to say no to their friends. They're going to have the ability to have self-love. They're going to be their inner like light is going to come through because you've done the work. They mirror us for years. For years, they look at us constantly. They check how we speak, how we talk to each other as adults, how we speak to our parents. They are listening and learning everything. And I think the biggest gift I've given my kids, and I see them now in middle school, is to be calm, and when things happen, not to lose that. And they'll find the solutions faster. They'll be able to deal with the challenges. They'll be able to find good friends. And if something bothers them, they'll speak up. And I see it now, so I'm very happy about that. And yes, 100%. If a mom is calm, the kids are calm also.
Absolutely. I truly agree with, and I have a question for you both about the hypnotherapy
Yeah.
and the CBT listeners, cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yes.
But when we look at what you're talking about, the sense of inner calm, and I'm a firm believer in the attachment theory and creating secure attachment, it sounds to me as if using this app, which can help the mom or any parent become more stable inside, more capable of self-soothing, emotional regulation, staying centered, not perfect, but more often than not being able to come back to that strong inner self. This then, the child feels mom being attuned, parent being attuned, child sees mom being attuned and calm, or whatever is happening, mom is present, engaging with the
Yes.
child, not reacting and yelling at the kid or running away from the kid, not letting the kid take over by the temper tantrum overtaking the room. But when
Yes.
mom is mirroring back calm and safety and security, kiddo learns to internalize over time calm, safety, security. And even if we get it off now and again, because there's good enough parenting, there's not perfect parenting,
No,
then the
never. Yeah.
child, as you're saying, moves out into the world step by step, becoming a more secure little one, then middle schooler, then adult eventually. And this is how we break those intergenerational cycles, where if we didn't have secure attachment, we can actually begin to earn it by being in relationship with self and others in a securely attached way. And then this allows the kiddos to take that sense of secure attachment with their siblings, their friends, and eventually their mates. So this is some big work that you're talking about. And it sounds as if doesn't need to start if somebody is a mom and didn't know about this before they had kiddos, it sounds as if it's an app that can be really valuable to any parent.
It is extremely valuable. Through my work, and I devote between an hour or two to self-work on myself a day. And I know it sounds like a lot, and who has time for it? But the results are so amazing that if I give it up, it will affect my kids. So I constantly throughout the day regulate myself and keep my nervous system very, very calm. And through neuroplasticity, which is a very natural process for the mind, it's a biological process where the more positive experiences you have, the more positive neural connections and pathways you create in the mind. So growing up, if you grew up in a household where there was a lot of negative experiences like yelling, fighting, punishing, grabbing, a lot of those behaviors that we don't want to repeat with our children, those pathways were created in your mind. Now, science figured out we can actually create new pathways and change those. And this is exactly what Mama Zen does. We help these parents go through a process in the sessions. We start every session starts with an induction. So we really, really calm the nervous system down. And the critical mind gets the break it needs to have access to the subconscious mind, which, if your listeners don't know, the subconscious mind controls about 85% of our mind power. So most of the things you do throughout the day are very automatic, right? So let's say you grew up in a household where yelling was very ordinary, a daily thing. You're so used to it that now as the parent, you repeat it. So if you are used to having a lot of yelling when you grew up, then your unfortunately subconscious mind is used to it, and you bring it up now with your kids. So through Mama Zen, through those sessions, we're able to change that and help you to create a different scenario for your family. And through visualization, you're actually starting to rewire those neural connections with positive behavior. And then when you're being triggered, you no longer react the way your parents used to react or the way you used to react in the past. Now you all of a sudden respond. And when that happened to me the first time, I was actually quite shocked. My kids were 1 and 3.5. And I remember I used to really get upset when they were fighting with each other. I had a lot of trauma growing up with an older sister that really was physical with me, and I brought it into my kids' relationship, right? So every time they would start fighting, I would get into fight or flight mode. And through doing the sessions, I began to notice. That rage coming up, and I was able to pause and choose. Do I want to yell right now, or do I want to change my reaction? And it was very empowering. So the first time I noticed it, they were putting their shoes in the garage, and they started with the elbows and the kicking, and I felt that rage come up, and I was able to stop myself, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I can actually control this.
Yes, and it's like, it's
go ahead.
so interesting when you're talking about, so listeners, neuroplasticity, you're likely familiar with the term, but remember, it's simply that our brains, they're not ever done creating themselves.
Yes.
As we get older, they're less able to change, but we can always change. So there's something called Hebb's law, which is the law of neuroplasticity, which is use it or lose it. So if you're using those neural pathways that are fight flight, then they're going to be more hardwired. If you stop using them, you're going to lose them over time, and you're going to be forming the new neural pathways that are about calm, gentleness, non-reactivity. And that is how we change our brains, and thus then we change our lives. It's a matter of, time and effort and mindfulness, so it's not going to change on its own. But okay, so now this takes me to that part that I was going to ask you, Erin,
Yes.
where we're looking at for those who might go, oh, I don't want to do hypnotherapy. They might be comfortable with cognitive behavioral therapy, which is just, you change your cognitions, you change your behavior. But hypnotherapy, can you give us just a snippet about, and I know you're talking about visualizations, so seeing things in a different light, which is often a big part of hypnotherapy, but could you describe that so that people feel maybe more comfortable with it?
I actually love the fact that you brought this up because I think that there's a misunderstanding here. We are already hypnotized. We were hypnotized from the moment we were born by our family. We're hypnotized by our peers. We're hypnotized by social media. We're hypnotized by TV commercials. We're hypnotized all the time. Hypnotherapy actually removes those layers and brings you back to your true essence. It's actually the opposite. We're dehypnotizing you. We're showing you who you really are. We were all born calm people. It was just put on us the reactivity and the anxiety and the yelling and the aggression. We were not born with it. This is something that society and our families are fortunately introduced us to. So we're actually removing all that and making you feel your best self. And who doesn't want that? So I think the fact that hypnosis, which is staged, which is super untrue, by the way, those people are not becoming chickens. It's just for entertainment purposes. We took an amazing modality and put a negative light on it. And it's actually one of the most powerful things we can do for ourselves is to calm our mind from the chaos, from the noise, from the endless demands. Take a moment and just connect with yourself. And then we go into the meat of the session, which you actually just imagining things going differently. You're imagining how you want to be when when you're responding to your children. You can imagine bedtime being calm, being loving. You speak calmly. And then all of a sudden it starts to happen in your life. It's the easiest way to change. So I think we have to get away from, oh, I don't want to be hypnotized. We're not doing anything that's going to make you behave weird. We're actually bringing you back to yourself. I think it's an amazing, amazing, very empowering modality. And I wish that more people would hear this and realize, you know what? I have to try this. This sounds amazing. And it is.
It's really one of the basic tenets of a lot of therapeutic modalities. Using your idea, calling hypnosis that stripping away of all of the unhelpful parts that have been attached to us, whether in childhood or adulthood, relationships, general life chaos. And when you think, or when I think about it, I'm EMDR certified, among other certifications, and EMDR, finding that safe place, learning to create an inner calm. Meditation does this, yoga can do this. All of these things can help bring us back toward our kinder, calmer, true selves. And what you're saying, if I'm hearing you right, is that your app creates a safe space for this in ways that, in targeted ways that help reprogram the mind back to its gentle, strong inner core and away from those chaotic responses or negative, difficult responses that we learned from childhood forward.
Yes, Mama Zen is the fastest, most effective tool that's available to parents who want to break generational cycles, who want to wake up in the morning calm and happy. And it works like magic. It's that amazing. And we do surveys with our listeners all the time, and our members are telling us after 3 sessions, their anxiety went down. Their stress levels went down. They're sleeping better. They're bonding better with their kids. Show me something else that does this. It doesn't exist. So Mama Zen is really the ultimate solution to any parent who is feeling like they can't take it anymore, or they feel like they're drowning, or they feel like they can't get that oxygen, their break. And we are going to help them to really exhale It's really about that. Release it and give your nervous system a break. All of us are walking in fight or flight mode all the time, and we don't even know we're in it because we've been in it for so long. So I think we really need to, everybody's so focused on your looks and going to the gym, and you have to bounce back after delivering a baby and you need to look your best. What about your mind? Why not devote 20, 30 minutes a day for your mind to really like be at your best and feel good? I'm not just saying, I'm experiencing it all the time. And every time I'm like, wow, it's so nice to disconnect from the fast life we have, from the news and then school emails and lists and all. Just disconnect. It's amazing. It really, it's you're gonna feel so good and so refreshed.
And you're saying something that I find really important, that idea of disconnecting.
Yes.
Because we're often worried that if I take 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes out for myself, I'll be a bad parent, or I'll miss something, or I won't do something right. Yet there is huge truth in the idea, in the manifestation of self-care, self-development, self-work, making us not only our best selves in the short term, but in the long term, because whatever we invest in life, if we're putting all our time, I'm not judging, but I'm saying if we're putting all of our time into looking good in the external world and no time into looking good and feeling good in the internal world, we might want to reevaluate that, because the internal world is what keeps us going. I know you're saying your internal practices really help keep you steady. I couldn't live without mine. My internal practices, my meditation, all of the things I do to stay calm and centered, wouldn't want to do life without them. I know life before them, I know life after them, and I much prefer life with those tools and the daily ability to cleanse, recharge, find inner calm. It's
I
just
think it's very
fantastic.
important for moms like us to share this wisdom, to tell the world that, hey, we're doing this. We're taking the time to work on our inner state. We're taking the time to work on our positive self talk. We're taking the time to get more confident. We are doing it. So I think parents who are listening right now, try it. You have nothing to lose. I mean, what is it going to do? Just make you feel better? Give it a try. It doesn't really matter what you try. I think that, and I actually, I don't know if you know, but I released a book a few months ago called the Mama Zen Parenting Method. And
Yes.
in that book, I go through the whole journey. So I give a lot of tools on how to do the same thing I did. I give the 7 steps of how to become a calmer parent. You don't want to do audio sessions? Read a book. There are tools out there. You can find ways. Listen to podcasts. Podcasts are a great way to do self inner work. Learn from it. You have to prioritize your mental well being. I think that's the biggest tip I can give any parent. Start working on your mental health and do it. You don't have to do 2 hours in a day. You don't have to go to a therapist. Find what works for you and do it 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes a day. That's it. It's going to make a huge difference.
It does, and I agree, because parenting, once you're a parent, you're always a parent.
Yes.
And you're always a parent, and different challenges come up. And so many times I hear from clients that they're struggling with a child who's returned home, or a child who's getting married, or grandchildren issues. And when we learn these internal skills, when we embrace self-regulation, self-soothing techniques, awareness techniques that allow us to pull back from that place of reactivity or shutting down, because often it's one of
Yes.
those, either shutting down or reacting, and come from that place of gentleness, mindfulness, slowness, the journey can be a lot easier and a lot more joyful. So, any other final tips, Erin, that you'd like to share with our listeners today?
I think it's very important to learn co-regulation. And I'm not saying some parents think, oh, okay, I'm going to tell my child now take a few deep breaths, or I'm going to hold their hand while they do it. And I want to make it very important for parents to understand. Co-regulation is an amazing tool. You basically co-regulate with your child. You do the breathing. The child follows. And I think that every parent that learns the skill of being calm and centered and showing the child the behavior, when the child gets flooded, you don't go more flooded with him. You don't yell more. When your child yells, you don't yell louder. You don't try to be, I'm going to show you how to be louder, more aggressive and things like that. Go the opposite way. Get calmer. Start breathing. And all of a sudden your child, it's like magic. I do it with my daughter all the time. She's more sensitive. She'll start crying and panicked. I start breathing deep. By the third breath, she starts with me. I don't tell her start breathing. I just do it, and her nervous system follows. And I think that's an amazing tool. And every parent should learn the secrets of co-regulation.
Absolutely. And it's not tough. And it also, I love co-regulation because it not only works with kiddos, it works with clients. It
Yes.
can work with your partner if you have a partner who tends to get riled up. When
Yes.
you hold your core and model healthy behavior, model internal stability. It doesn't mean it's always easy, but it does mean it shifts dynamics in relationships that makes it easier over time because you're holding steady. And then if you need to process things more deeply later about, anything that came up for you, then you can do that. But again, creating those internal patterns of, I've got this, I can breathe, I can stay steady, and not, as you said, not getting higher, more reactive than the kiddo or the other person.
It actually fires back, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So thank you. All right, Irin, where can our listeners find you?
So our app is available on iOS and Android. Just type in the App Store Mama Zen, Mamazen, and you can also take a look at our website, www.mamazen.com. And you can buy the book on Amazon. It's called The Mama Zen Parenting Method, and it's really a fun. It's kind of like my raw journey, how I got here, how it all started. So I think parents can really benefit from a real story. I'm not trying to talk down to anybody. I'm just sharing my experience and how I became, I guess, the Mama Zen mom.
Well, excellent. And listeners, if you don't have a pen handy, don't worry. All of this will be in the show notes. You'll be able to find Irin and her work by looking at those show notes. And again, thank you so much, Irin, for joining us today. It has been such a joy and a pleasure. And what a journey. What a terrific journey for moms of every age. And I imagine dads can use your app too.
Yes, we do have a section there for the dads. And thank you so much for having me. And thank you for bringing this important conversation out there.
Oh, thank you. And to our listeners, thank you as always for joining us today. It is always a joy, a delight, and a privilege to spend time with you. And this is Imperfect Love.
Thanks so much for sharing your time with me today. Remember, you have the power to transform your life and love fearlessly, if imperfectly, and it's my privilege to help you along the way. You can find more life-changing content, including my books and other podcast episodes, at drcarlamanley.com. Feel free to submit your own confidential questions through my website. I'll do my very best to include your issue on a future episode. If you found this podcast helpful, please subscribe and leave a review. Until we connect again, this is Dr. Carla Marie Manley wishing you oceans of blessings and love. Please note, this podcast is psychoeducational in nature and is not intended to replace formal mental health support. Please contact your healthcare provider or emergency hotline if you need psychiatric care. And, as always, please take good care of your amazing, wonderful self.